now more than ever, this is where we as business owners like have to roll up our sleeves and get involved and like do some of the more dirty work that in an up market, you don't have to do as much dirty work. Some stuff falls in your lap. You get a good closing.
Welcome to the Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Bello, and today I've got another friend who has the name Chris and is awesome because Chris's are so cool. Chris Gould. Welcome, Chris. It's great to have you on the show, man.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here. Appreciate the invitation to come on.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you having me on your show here recently as well. But we're going to be talking about the market, what's going on, our real estate businesses, how we're riding the wave of the slowdown that we're both seeing, and maybe even like men's group meetups, whatever you want to talk about, man. It's just awesome to have you here. And for those listening, I'll let Chris go ahead and introduce himself. Chris, take it away.
Yeah, thank you for that intro. My name's Chris Gould. I own Indie Home Offer. We do virtual wholesaling in the Midwest, and then I also do mentorship and education around wholesaling overall.
Very cool. Very cool. And we connected through some mutual friends and also a business group that we're in on Facebook. So it's cool just to see how far we've come in terms of like hanging out and getting to know each other from that first meetup where we met up with a couple of business owners locally, like way back in April. And here we are in November, and we've been talking a lot more frequently and sharing book recommendations and things like that. So last we spoke, we've been talking about how our businesses have been seeing quite a bit of a slowdown, like a shift is what they like to call it in the industry of real estate. And I know I have a lot of non-real estate listeners, but we're all seeing a bit of a slowdown and people pulling back on where they're spending their money. So how are you managing and navigating that on your side? I know you've had some tough conversations like with your business partner, your team members on, hey guys, we're going to ride this wave together. I hope you're going to stick it out with me, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There was a quote the other day I saw, and it said, "We can evade reality, but we cannot evade the consequences of evading reality." And I think, people can fall into a few buckets when things shift. And, you've got your delusionally optimistic that aren't going to react to what's happening. You've got the pessimists that get all down on now everything is just another proving point that everything's bad.
Yeah.
And then you've got those people in the middle, and I want to be one of those people. And so, profit covers up a lot of mistakes, a lot of inefficiencies that we have. And that's what we found as things slow down. There's this obsession with scaling your business that a lot of people have. And right now what I'm experiencing is this reality of like, if you're a one-man business doing 500K a year and 400 of his profit, like, is it better to be that or to have a 6-person team doing $3 million a year, but you're only making 300K in profit because it costs so much to get leads for these people and to pay them and to pay their bases and to pay the health insurance, to pay for your office and all those things. So I'm not saying one is better than the other, but I think at the end of the day, profitability is king. And this is a really cool time. And it's going to be great in a number of ways. Number one, all of the shitheads that are doing business are going to go away because you can't just ride the up wave right now, right? So like wholesaling specifically, so saturated. Anybody with a computer and access to YouTube can become a professional wholesaler, quote unquote.
I just talked to 2 people this morning who wanted to connect and learn more about it. I'm like, how old are you guys? Did you watch a YouTube video? Like, how did you hear about wholesaling? That whole thing.
And look, it's not to say that that's not like everybody starts there, right? But that being said, it creates a lot of saturation. And then you have people that they get a hold of the same seller you're talking to. They're making offers that are crazy to people that could never be a true flip or a wholesale deal. And it really drives things kind of out of proportion, creates a lot of headache for people that are really doing deals. So a lot of those people are going to go away because those cherry deals that they were just picking off, those go away and they get harder. So there's that. Second thing is, you have to be more creative than ever in terms of every single lead needs to be converted, and it doesn't necessarily need to be converted into a wholesale deal. So it might be a light flip, might be a wholesale, might be a creative finance deal, whether that's a land contract, which is like seller financing, or a subject to deal. So those are just some more creative deal structures for those people that don't know about those. You can look them up online, or Bigger Pockets, and also listings. So I'm getting certified to be a realtor in Indiana because we're just throwing those listings out the window, because we're like, well, by the time we split the commit, we get our marketing fee from a realtor, and we only get 25% of that, and it's $100,000. It seems like it's not worth it. But if we can capture some more of those, so the way we're looking at it is, first of all, cut all the fat from the business, all of those recurring charges, all of the stuff that you don't need to be doing, that all goes. Mm-hmm. Everybody goes on commission. You eat what you kill, or you're not here. Sorry, but that's just the reality of it. And then the last part is, we're going to start adding more tools to our tool belt, so that once we're doing listings, life flips, wholesales, and creative finance, imagine then when things pick up again, you can now, we were really excited about doing $150,000 a month. Like, that was really good. And I look back and I say, how many deals did we miss that could have been listings, that could have been creative deals, to get us to 200 or 250 a month? So this is really like a strengthening period, if you can hold on and make it through. And that's sort of the way that we're looking at it, is an opportunity to grow our skill set, so that when the tides turn a little bit, we're even better than ever before.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what I keep hearing, just all the business groups that I'm in, the calls that I've been on, is that anyone can do well in an up market, right? This is what's going to separate the people who are really doing business versus those that are just like playing business and opening their laptop up at Starbucks and, getting a couple of deals. And I think I shared this with you, where I was a little bit concerned, like, man, have I really been playing business all this time and kind of just riding the wave and having leads come in and just getting some of that success that just fell into my lap because I happen to have a good network, a nice smile, and I'm personable. So I got quite a few deals, 18 deals closed for my first full year as a realtor once I got my license, and then like 19 or 20 the following year, plus some leases. And so now I was focusing on attraction marketing personally. I know you do a lot of paid marketing and those types of things, but as the book says, Shift, that we're reading, I know I recommended that book to you. Real estate agent related, but very relevant to what you're doing in wholesaling and off-market deals, right? It's going to take more touches, more follow-ups, more effort, and you have to do a whole lot more to get what you were used to getting before. And so part of me is realizing too, I'm rereading that too. Once you said you started reading it, I was like, you know what? I need to read this again as well, just to remind myself what it's going to take to make it out the other side, and not be one of those people who fall off and have to go back and get a job because I'm just not making enough income to support my lifestyle, my overhead.
Yeah. Yeah. The really cool thing from Shift that I took was just like, marketing's the last thing to get cut. And the consistency of having marketing channels for us has been really super valuable, because even if it's a diminished return, we still have some sort of a gauge on what we're going to get from it. Yeah. And I think, now more than ever, this is where we as business owners like have to roll up our sleeves and get involved and like do some of the more dirty work that in an up market, you don't have to do as much dirty work. Some stuff falls in your lap. You get a good closing. You make a great paycheck on that. People are buying more actively. The average person's buying power has been slashed by 30%, So in Denver particularly, like, there's just a lot of wonky deals out there right now where it's like the average person can't really afford this, but it's really sort of the average person's house. So we're going to have to have some sort of reset. And I think a really interesting point to bring up, because, in our business, we try to stay out of like the logical brain with sellers a lot, because typically that's not the way to get a deal done. You want to keep them more in their emotional brain. Like, what's your problem? How is that affecting you? How can I help you solve that problem? People make decisions from that side of the brain, and then they justify it on the logical side. But the market is cooling, and there's just no doubt about it, especially with interest rates going up. So this might be the best time to sell your house in the next year, because it could just continue cooling more and more. So what we're telling sellers is just like, hey, let's get you locked in at this price, because people I talked to a month ago that now are calling me back and want to sell their house now, we're offering them 20, 30,000 less than we were because, hey, your neighbor's house, he just took a 20K price cut because he needed to move. So the comps are going to start eating into what you can sell the house at. So sellers specifically, holding out, and if you're going to hold it for another year or two, okay. But if you need to move anytime in the next like 6 to 9 months, like this might be your best time to let go of that property. So we're trying to do some more light educating about it. Some people are still living in a fantasy world about, the summer and 2021. I think that's part of our,
that sums that up well. I'm like, let me find it.
Yeah. So it's just an opportunity again. Like, are the guys that are just starting out at YouTube Academy, are they going to be able to go and do the educating that's necessary? And like, the thing is, well, speaking to the people that are interested in wholesaling out there, or that maybe have just started, is like, your job is to help people and solve problems. A lot of times it seems like the job is to just make money and then post pictures of checks on Facebook. Mm-hmm. That's not the job. And so, if you can't perform, or you're worried about not being able to perform on a contract that you signed with someone, like, you need to exit that as soon as possible, because you're messing with people's lives here.
Yeah.
Because an anecdote from my personal experience, we have people that we offer them 150,000. They get an offer for 180 from some guy. He drags his feet. It comes to like the 29th day of a 30-day contract, and he ends up backing out, and he had some part of his contract that allowed him to do that.
And so now they're packed up.
They're all packed up. They're ready to go. Now, because it's a month later, the market has cooled even more. Our 150 is now 135. So it's like, this is the problem with there being no licensing around wholesaling. Like, there is no like code of ethics to it.
Yep.
So I think that I'm hoping that some of the people that don't do business well will be cleaned out from here, and the people that do business well, can stick around and make it through the wave. So
yeah, 100%. And that page, The Broke Agent, I don't know if you ever follow it. They've got some funny memes about realtors specifically, but very relevant. And that's what you were talking about right there. This one had 22,000 likes as of the time of this recording, and it said, "Weird time in real estate right now. Buyers are acting like it's 2008. Sellers are acting like it's 2021. And agents think that the best way to explain the market is by pointing at disappearing captions on TikTok." We're like, literally, yeah, buyers think that the market's going to crash and wait, it's like right around the corner. And sellers think that they can still get what they could a year or two ago when things were crazy in that feeding frenzy. And even I was in an orientation for a new brokerage that I joined in Colorado just to align with that mentor that I'm working with. So I went through this new orientation, and there's like 10 brand new agents who just got their real estate license and have no idea that deals are down 40% of what they were this time last year. So there's a little bit of a lag there between when people think the market's hot and then okay, I'm going to sign up and get my real estate license and I'm going to learn about wholesaling. This is going to be great. And then the reality hits of, geez, deals are down overall. I can't find anything. One guy messaged me the other day saying, I asked him how things are going. He just got licensed recently, like 7 weeks in. He's like, 7 weeks in, it's really slow. And I'm like, yeah, it's only been a month and a half, dude. You're brand new to this. You're not going to get a deal in 2 seconds right out the gate in most cases. So I think it's important for anybody really to properly set expectations, because whether or not you're in real estate, you're not going to see instant results immediately. It's just amazing to see how many people expect to see instant results. Like, I haven't landed a client yet in the first month. Yeah, you never done this before. Like, who's going to trust you with their money because you don't have any proven results or track record?
Yeah. And I mean, you can have instant results, but you better be ready to write a fat check. Yeah. You want to spend 50K on marketing, you'll get a deal. You'll get a couple deals probably, but like,
can you close it? Do you have the experience?
Can you close it? That's the biggest thing. And I think this is where having great mentors, you have a great mentor. I've had several great mentors. Like, this is where it's so important. Because I look back to the beginning when I was really taking risks, sending direct mail and stuff. And I had deals coming to me and I had no mentor to tell me like, wait, in this weird situation that I don't know how to handle, what should I do? So I ended up losing all these deals that I could have made 20, 30, 50 grand on, simply because I didn't have anyone that was reliable that I could reach out to give me on the spot timely advice. So that'd be my biggest recommendation to like newer people that are getting started in this. Like, you got to find a mentor to work with in some capacity. And maybe it's just someone who's a little farther ahead of you that you're doing joint venture deals with, where you're partnering up. If you can pay for a mentor, that's really good too. But just doing YouTube Academy, like, you can find yourself in hot water pretty quickly. And like,
Yeah.
you don't want to end up getting sued by someone and your fledgling real estate career could come to a screeching halt. No one likes to pay for attorneys. You know, we had a frivolous lawsuit that was so cut and dry that we were going to win, but the guy dragged it out and it still cost us 20 grand, even though it was so clear, because they delayed it in motions and filings. So, you know, you got to have someone in your corner, no matter what. If you're in real estate and you're trying to do deals, you got to have someone in your corner.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the call that I jumped on this morning with two new guys that want to wholesale. I just asked, like, out of curiosity, how old are you guys? You know, it's one dude who booked a call and his friend, and they're like 22 and 24. One guy's not working at all. The other, I think he said he was a student or kind of had a part-time job or something at the moment. And I was just curious to see their motivation. Like, how'd you guys hear about wholesaling? How much research have you done? And that was the main advice that I gave them. It wasn't how to wholesale or what the contract looks like or the assignment. I said, look, most people want to get into this. They like the idea of the quick money. They see the checks in the Facebook groups, but it takes a lot of time. And this is something I stole from another podcast. I think I heard this on Wholesaling Inc. back in the day when I was doing more wholesaling. And it said it's simple, but it's not easy. Just because the steps are pretty simple and straightforward doesn't mean you can just go out there and do a deal this weekend without any headaches. And my main advice was what you just said, was find a mentor or JV or joint venture with someone, because when we get started, we're often like, oh man, if it's a $10,000 assignment fee or profit potential, I don't want to give away half of that. That's not fair. I found the deal. I deserve 100%. But my advice to them, which you may have heard this before, is 50% of a watermelon is better than 100% of a grape. I told them that. I was like, I'm giving you guys mindset training, because when you get that deal and you get a little bit greedy and you don't want to share it with someone, do you want to make $0 because you don't know how to close that? Or do you want to make half of that commission or wholesale fee and just work with someone who knows what they're doing? Because that value and that mentorship, I have no problem parting with money as long as it's a win-win. And I know the value of finding someone who can actually help you, because otherwise you're not going to learn anything. You're not going to grow, and you're going to squander those leads and opportunities, much like you said you did when you first got started and you had all these leads, but you couldn't convert them into deals because you didn't have that mentor.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. It's just so true. And, you know, we had a prideful stance in our business about, not doing joint ventures. We were like, we don't need to do those. And then if we did, we were like, put your fee on top, or, you know, and we were like kind of aggressive with people, because we were like, we're closing all these like 20, 30, 50K wholesale deals.
Yeah.
We don't need you. And now it's like, well, there's less buyers. So, you know, whoever has the buyers, that's the buyers that are still buying.
That's valuable.
That's really valuable. So like what we did is we put out a deal, and I think it was like a 16K spread that we were trying to get on it. And then we had like one truly interested buyer, and we weren't even sure if they were going to be legit, like if they were going to make a good offer. So we partnered with another firm in town and said, hey, like, we'll assign it to you at only a 10K spread for us, but then you guys can make 6 and market at the same price we did. Because that's a problem people have, is they send someone a deal and they say, add your fee on top. And then buyers will see it coming from the new person at a higher price. And they're immediately a red flag goes up and they don't trust party number 2. So you have to give it to them at a lesser price than you've marketed it for. But we did that, and they ended up getting a sight unseen full priced offer on this deal. And we had some buyers on our list that, you know, were coming in 30, 40 under asking. And then we were able to get a sight unseen offer by working with another firm. So, you know, you can do really well by doing joint venture agreements. But you want to pick someone who's like, you want to pick like one of the biggest players in town that's willing to do a joint venture, because most of them won't, from my experience. They want to just buy it from you and give you almost nothing. And then they go and resell it and make their money on it. So you got to find someone that's willing to work with you. But if they are, that's, you know, a great way that you'll probably make more than by JVing than you would have if you just did it with your small buyers list of only a couple people.
Yeah. And a lot of times people are short-sighted with collaboration. It's more scarcity versus abundance mindset. I've always kind of come from that abundance mindset, sometimes too much, I guess, where I'm like, oh, 1+1 can equal 3. And maybe you don't end up making money, but maybe everyone makes money. I have a great example from, I think, 2018. I was working with that wholesaling team in Houston. We got a deal under contract that was on the MLS. It was on the market for sale. And we got it under contract way below the listing price. So when we closed that deal, or actually we didn't get it under contract, a friend who flips houses got a couple properties under contract at the same time. He didn't have a buyer's list. He didn't know how to wholesale. He was the actual end buyer to flip the house. So before he just backed out of it, he actually brought it to me saying, hey, I've got this deal under contract. Here's where I have it at. What do you think? And take a look at it. And the numbers actually checked out. We blasted it out to our buyer's list and it closed within maybe 1 or 2 weeks. And that was the craziest example. We all like went to go celebrate and get a drink together because the listing agent got paid, the seller got their money, the buyer's agent got paid. And then we split the wholesale fee with my friend who was going to flip the house. So I think he still ended up making $7,500 versus just letting it go because he didn't have that knowledge. He would have made 0. And now we both made $7,500 on that assignment fee. Plus those realtors got paid and the seller got their money. And so it was just such a cool way of just showing like, wow, we really, everybody eats type thing, right? We can all win.
Yeah. And I think that's a great example of what we have to do right now to make it work.
Yeah.
All options need to be on the table. And I think this is where like, you got to set your ego aside of like the way that we did it before. It's like, if the way you did it before is still working right now and you're still crushing it, you're making $100,000 a month and you've seen no dip in sales, God bless you. Keep doing what you're doing. But if not,
please.
yeah. But if not, this is where like we got to swallow our pride and say, okay, we weren't doing it at a fully optimized way before, and we have to change what we're doing now. And that looks like collaborating with people that you maybe didn't collaborate with before, or that you saw as competitors before, and you were like, well, I don't want to give them a good deal. And it's like, well, I look at, I was at the top wholesalers in Indianapolis, the panel. They invited me to go speak, which is pretty cool because we're remote, we're virtual.
Yeah.
And it was me and the 2 other biggest wholesalers in Indianapolis. And so we're up there and I'm like, these guys are my competitors. And walking into it, I felt like almost like a bit of a competitiveness and aggression because I'm like, these are my enemies. But by the end of it, I just was like, man, everybody is just trying to get a couple deals done. There's 300,000 houses in Indianapolis or around there. And it's like, you only need to do like 8 to 10 a month to like have a great business. It's such a small percentage that you just need of that pie. And so it's like, are we competing? Like, yeah, we'll talk to the same people sometimes, but like really who you're competing against is yourself, because it's, am I doing the sales process correctly? Am I like really following through? Am I really following up? And, the other thing when I was there at that panel, one of the competitors I work with, he was sharing how he was like super stressed out and he had a panic attack, several. And I was like, wow, I know he has a big operation. He has a big team, a lot of employees. And he's like, yeah, we lost $200,000 the last 2 months in a row.
Yikes.
$200,000 loss. So it means whatever he made, that means his operating, let's say he made 70, his operating expenses are $270,000 per month for a small business owner like you and me. It's like we're not talking about Walmart. It's just like, so, last thing I just want to say here, because it's on top of my mind, is like, what I've taken away from this more than ever is like, it's about profitability and it's about, you got to save that cash, like stay lean, save that cash when you're making it. Don't go out and buy the stupid shit. Don't create a bunch of big recurring expenses for yourself. Cause I look at this year and like, yeah, I saved a bunch of money, but I probably could have saved twice as much money and been chilling way harder right now. But instead it was like, oh, like, let me go to Sushi Den and spend $250 on a Friday for me and one other person. And it's like, some of those things looking back now where I was just bawling out of my mind.
Yeah.
Cause you think the good times are going to last forever until they don't last. And then you're like, oh, I could have not bought a few of those things. But it's this again, where it's a great lesson. Like, you and I both are not going to make mistakes like that with big recurring charges in the future. Like, I'm going to look at things with a fine tooth comb now. I'm going to put everything under a microscope. Like, I'm not just, ooh, I like this mentor. Let me sign up for this. Oh, it's $5,000 for 2 months. Maybe it'll be good. Like, do I need that? Like, do I really need that right now?
Yeah.
So it's just a mindset shift overall, in so many different ways, which is really beautiful, is the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, for sure. And I was talking to the guy that I'm working with. Geez, my problems also sound very small compared to the ones he's dealing with, where like one of the commercial properties, somebody damaged it and like stole some of the electrical wiring or cut that. I don't even know how that works or what happened there, but he's dealing with that. There's a flipper or a contractor that stole $30,000. I guess he kind of someone apparently vetted that guy, and he just kind of trusted him since it was supposed to be a vetted third party person. And that guy, literally, when you look him up on the Better Business Bureau, the last 3 or 4 months have had multiple complaints of him just stealing money from people and bouncing. And so he's got all these different things, kind of like that wholesaler you said you talked to who lost 200 grand in the last couple of months. Like, he has his own fair share of problems and issues, where I think of, man, I don't have any, I feel bad about my problems and this little expense, or that person who stole $500 from me or didn't pay me my commission on time. And it helps reset. But what I learned, one thing I learned at the Arate Syndicate event I went to this past weekend in Nashville, I shared it with him and I told him, look, you never learn lessons in the good times, right? You're spending that money, going for the $250 sushi dinner, having a great time. But when something like that happens, you can put a step in your process in place for the next time. You're not going to make that same mistake again. Another issue he had was he did a full renovation on a tenant occupied property, but they didn't check the main line. And I guess that failed. So a lot of the work that they had done, the new driveway they poured, literally like all cracked and just was messed up. So he's like, dude, now going forward on deals, no matter what, we're going to check that main line. And if it looks a little bit sketchy, we're just going to go ahead and replace that. So that's part of his process now, where he'll never make that mistake again. And so you can look at it as, man, he's going to lose however much money, or insurance is going to take X amount of time. Or you can also look at it as, what's the lesson I'm learning here? Always check that main water line on every rehab or flip that we do, so that we can avoid this mistake going forward. So I think it needs to hurt. You have to have that pain, right? If you don't get burned when you touch the stove, you won't learn the lesson. Like, that's the whole takeaway for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many little cliches that, we can insert for this moment of like, if you go to the gym and you don't lift hard, you don't feel the burn, like you're not going to grow, you're not going to get bigger muscles. So,
yeah.
And that's I think it's essential to have a mindset shift right now towards that. And also, like, what I've just come to like a real peace around is like, it's all going to be fine. And who am I to say that the plan for me is that I have a wholesaling business for 10 years? Like, maybe my wholesale business is meant to shut down in a year and I'm meant to start something new. Like, who knows what I'm really meant to do? Am I God? Do I know what is the best thing and the plan for the universe? I don't know shit. So it's like, I have a small view of what I think is the right thing that needs to happen.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of this idea of this like trust in the universe, trust that things are happening for a reason. And like, I think we don't talk about that idea of like faith and trust in this real estate space. It's so like masculine and numbers driven that I think it can get lost in the sauce. And I think what it can result in is like a lot of rigid men that are very anxious, that are closing down and kind of stuffing down some of that anxiety and discomfort. And so that's why I think it's really important to have other things outside of real estate, like our men's group that we do, because just because we're in real estate doesn't mean that that's not our identity, right? That's just a machine that we use to make money for us to pay for stuff. And so some of those other tools, like the men's group, have been really good for helping me like stay at peace in a very turbulent time. I mean, there's people that aren't sleeping right now. There's people like my competitor that are having panic attacks regularly. And it's like, if you don't have faith that like things are going to unfold in exactly the way that they need to unfold, then yeah, you're probably going to be up at night, and it's a choice of, do I have trust that everything is happening in exactly the way it should. And then I got to do my part. I got to work as hard as I can. But at the end of the day, like wherever things land, whether our business gets really good next year, or maybe it comes to an end next year, who knows what's going to happen? Like, can you be okay with whatever the outcome will be, and not burn up valuable energy worrying? Like, we only have so many units of energy every day. And especially with a market shift, like how many am I burning up worrying? Probably a lot that I could use towards revenue generating stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my mindset shift around it that I've been trying to really get a hold of, and just take some different action from that place.
That's powerful. I struggle sometimes though with not knowing, am I quitting too soon? Is this the right path? I know obviously you can only connect the dots looking backwards, but when you're going through those turbulent times and you're not sure, am I quitting too easily with this shift? Like, am I wanting to pivot to another business to escape the realities I'm facing in this one? Or is this meant to be the path? So I sometimes wish someone would just tell me, this is the path, these are the steps to take, and no one's really there to do it. And you're kind of up to deciding your own journey in a way of, do you want to continue this business, or do you want to do something that's more in alignment with your passions? And because I think we both kind of share that, that we're maybe sometimes feel like we're not really helping people fully, or it can often get into the numbers of like, ooh, how much am I making on that next deal? We're very numbers driven, and it can feel a little hollow where our identity is great when things are great and our checking accounts have a nice balance. Awesome. We're king of the world. We're on top of things. You like flex a little harder at the gym, like, I'm the man. And then when things don't go so well, it's very easy for us to also think that we're terrible people. We're not supportive. Man, I'm supposed to be the breadwinner. I'm not bringing in any bread right now. Like, what's going on? It's been 2 months without getting a paycheck type thing. And so that's one thing that I struggle with too, is like, how long do I sit in this? Am I taking enough action? Because I think I am, but am I really? Like, should I be doing 10 times as much? Is that the norm? So these conversations help, because it's like, okay, I'm not the only one going through it. You're not either. Your competitors having panic attacks. So this is normal right now for everyone, but how do we navigate through? How do we all collaborate so that we can come out the other side and at least survive, at the very least, hopefully thrive when things turn around,
My opinion is like, each of us is doing as much as we can.
But are we really though?
But someone is going to say, no, you could do more, but that's their scale of doing more or do less. Like, if you had more to give, you would give it. You give as much, you give your 10 units of effort, but you need to go and spend time with your girl. You need to go to the gym. You need to you can only give, that's as much as Chris Bello can give today. And it's fair. And if you're not giving what you perceive to be full effort, then that's probably a sign that you need to do something else,
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like the problem I think that we can both fall into when we're talking to so many people, we're consuming so much information about what everyone else is doing, is that it's like your own identity can get lost in the mix of that whole thing of like, well, wait, like, what's an adequate amount of effort for me? What's an adequate amount of earnings for me? What kind of life do I want to live? Yeah, I could give more, but does that go against my core values of like the type of lifestyle that I'm trying to live? And if those don't align, then we got to move on. We got to do something different. We got to find something that does align. And so when it doesn't feel good for long enough and the money isn't coming in, you'll know if that's the time. And if it picks up and it feels really good, you'll know to keep going. For me, what I noticed is that when we were doing our biggest months ever, I kind of didn't give a shit, if I'm just being honest. And I'm not saying that to be a jerk or be pretentious or arrogant or something like that. It's actually really sad to feel like you don't give a shit, because what I came to find was like, actually the things that mean a lot to me are seeing my employees really happy, see them laughing, see them like be able to move into a better apartment than they had before, me be able to do things for people around me that I couldn't do before when I had less money. Like, that's what matters. And it's like the stress of the business and making all that money is really quite huge. So at times it's almost like, is it worth the trade-off? And I just found that I had to convert myself into a people business minded owner. Like it's not as much about profit for me. And that's like just who I am as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's going to be different, right? And I think because of that, that hurt some of our profitability. Like I wanted to pay people more because I wanted to like see them thriving. And I look at some of the other colleagues that are around me and like, you know, they made a lot of money, but their people around them weren't really thriving. They were kind of just like getting by while they were getting really rich. And we just chose to go a different route. And so that's something that I'm assessing now as I'm deciding like, what does my business look like as I go forward? What does my career as an entrepreneur look like going forward? Like to me, having people around me that are really happy with what they get to do every day is super important to me. I'd like them to make money. And if I could make some money along the way, that'd be great. But I think it's important to know, like, what are you even going after? Like, what are you, where is this ship going? I'm like, faster, row harder. And then it's just like, where are we going? And it's like, I think that way. I'm not sure.
This resonates so much. I literally just put out an episode this week about, for those listening, it'll be the one right before this one, but I put out an episode saying, what's your why? And if you can find your why, you'll figure out any how, because I can resonate with that idea of not knowing, why am I rowing harder? Why am I doing more? Do I really want 6-figure months in a Lamborghini, or do I just think that I want that? And even when I get that, what's it going to mean? Because you just told me your biggest months, you didn't even give a shit. And it felt kind of empty, where maybe you checked off a little box in your mind of, cool, we just hit this milestone goal that we've been working for. But then you also realize that's not even what I'm after ultimately. I love that you're pouring back in. You're kind of tapping into your why of helping grow other people and have an awesome environment. And I've shared that with you too at our last men's group, that I've seen your posts and your videos of, you know, those cool, like young dudes wearing shorts and a hoodie at the office, just with a headset, making calls and ringing the bell when they get a deal done. Like, dude, that would be a dream job to be able to make that kind of money potential in sales without having to wear a button down and like a suit and go cold call from some commercial real estate office that you don't want to go to. Like you're building a cool environment and culture, and that is helping fuel you because you're pouring more into those people. You want them to succeed and to have an amazing life, more so than just adding more zeros to your own bank account. Because after a certain level, we all know it kind of levels out. It doesn't matter so much after you hit a certain number, whatever your number is, and you're good. What's next? Who are you going to pour into? So that's a huge takeaway for me, and hopefully for the audience as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's, if it's all about money, that fuel doesn't last long. That's what I'll just tell you as someone that built $1 million real estate business, wholesaling business. It just doesn't last long. It'll get you going for a while. So that can be your why if that's to start, but it's going to need to shift, or else, you know, that tank's going to be on empty very quickly. So even if your why is money right now, you got to be thinking about your next why almost 100%. While you're doing your first why.
I think it was a Kanye quote that I saw and I talked about earlier in earlier podcast episodes, where it said, money isn't everything, not having it is. So, you know, it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs type thing. If you don't have enough money to pay your bills and buy food, like, yeah, money's pretty important because you're trying to survive. But once you get past that, you live in a cool little apartment, you can do the things you want to do, you have money for gas to go to the places that you want to go, that it doesn't last long. Like, what's next? You know, you can't buy every game console and fill the hole inside, right? You've got to really pour into others. So finding that why, I think that's like, why are we here? What is our purpose? Who are we here to serve? And what's our mission, right? Core values, all those things. So I do admire everything that you've built with your business, because I've been more of that solo operator of, I don't have a team. I've got a couple of VAs, and even right now, I don't even know what to have them work on. So that men's group has kind of been filling in that community piece that I'm sure you also get from collaborating with your team members and your business partners and that kind of thing. So it's just cool to hear your perspective, because I see you as further along on that journey that I'm kind of on it as well.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. This has been a great conversation, and it's good to just talk to some like-minded people that like aren't, you know, super pessimistic, but also not delusionally positive, like just some real talk about what's going on and the realities of, you know, being an entrepreneur in this sector. So
yeah, man, it's tough. And I don't know, like the security, this was something I talked to with my life coach. I'm sure maybe you've like worked with a therapist or life coach of some sort, but maybe it's mental, where I feel like I used to feel way more comfortable and secure when I had a paycheck in that day job, knowing, all right, every 2 weeks, I'm getting this much money. It's going to go here. It covers all my expenses, paying off those credit cards in full, the full statement balance. And ever since I quit that job and it's been uncertain, even on my best months, there's random recurring expenses and different, cards get paid and different bills get charged at certain times. It's very difficult to track and stay on top of it all. And then you're kind of like, man, I made X amount of money, but I spent, Y amount of money. Where did it all go? Right. So trying to stay on top of that's been a little bit interesting just from my perspective. I'm sure you can relate.
Yeah. It's having a steady paycheck it's the illusion of security. Cause it's, when you look at it, for me, at least, it's like, there's really so little that I'm getting for my efforts. And there's that diminishing return. Like, at least we get direct feedback on our efforts as entrepreneurs. And I think I wasn't a very good employee when I was working for another company. My manager said, I felt like you were holding me hostage every single day, which is really, it's funny, but it's like really sad. Cause
funny and sad. Yeah, a little bit.
I just was, I wasn't cut out for that. But yeah, the entrepreneur's journey is also just like so much about self-development, and it's just personal development. And it's like, to me, I think like one of the quickest ways to enlightenment is in partnership with someone where you're both growing and you're challenging each other constantly and pushing each other's buttons and getting better. And like, that looks like, to me, in my experience, that's going to be your top one to actualize. But the next one down is like being a business owner, being responsible for other people, being responsible for yourself, having to eat what you kill. Like, that is all like such good learning lessons. And I just look at my development as a person, and it's like, as soon as I became a business owner, it just like started rising so drastically.
Yeah, they say entrepreneurship is the best self-development journey, right? The best personal development you can do is just try to figure out how to make sales and how to market and how to pay your bills on time and how to grow your money and keep it. I saw a few posts recently, like I think Dan Henry is one of those like ClickFunnels guys who's made the 2 Comma Club, and he asked a question, hey, millionaires out there, what's your biggest issue when it comes to making money or something? And I think one of the comments said, making money is easy, keeping it is the hard part, in my opinion. I'm just like, dude, for real, because I could think of all the money I've made over all the years, and then you think, where did it go? Where did I spend it, or put it into crypto at the top, those types of things that we all tend to do from time to time. So that it's just checking off one thing. First, you got to learn how to sell, then you got to learn how to grow your income, how to scale it, how to keep it, how to invest it. So there's like levels to the game, but partnerships and business, I definitely agree. Those are the ways to just improve yourself overall.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Man, this has been an awesome conversation. I know we talked about all kinds of stuff, real estate, life, all of that. What is something that you'd like the audience to take away and maybe implement? If they could do one thing today, what would it be?
I would say, if you're feeling stressed about anything at all in your life, take out a piece of paper and write down 25 things you're grateful for, and that'll just reset you. And the second piece is, it's easy to get into self, where we're kind of thinking of our next best move and what do we need to do and how do we get our business to be better and all that. And then that can create a lot of anxiety for us. The fastest way to solve that, go be of service to someone. Just find a way to be of service to someone. Knock on your neighbor's door and be like, hey, can I rake your leaves? I'm going to rake them the leaves in my yard. It's like taking a drug. It feels so good. And it just totally is you need to have polarity in your life. And if we're in self all the time trying to make money, you got to do things for other people. So find somebody you can help, even if it's just small. And that would be those are 2.
I love that. And I know I admit that I'm selfish from time to time. Like, I'm good. I'm taking care of myself. I'm not going to I volunteering to rake the neighbor's leaves. I'm like, I hate raking leaves. I'm not going to rake my own, like let the lawn guy do that. I'll pay him for it, because I tend to delegate and outsource everything. But you're right in that we need to do that because it does feel so good serving others and putting others before ourselves. You feel better than making another deal or closing another deal, right?
Absolutely.
So it's a totally different feeling. And anytime that we're feeling sorry for ourselves and we go help someone who's less fortunate than us, it's so easy to realize how much we really do have to be grateful for. So Man, this has been an awesome conversation though, Chris. And I love just you're crushing it, and we're all seeing a little bit of a slowdown, but you're still crushing it in my eyes. Like the numbers again don't define who we are, how successful we are, because that's just like the environment that we're in. But I love that you're crushing it in business and life, and that, you're well spoken and soft spoken, and you have that like caring side to you. Because it's easy to get caught up in the toxic masculinity stuff, and like, let's just talk about the deals we're closing and how much we're doing at the gym and stuff like that. So I've really enjoyed our conversations of really diving into more of why are we doing this, and like, why are we here, and who are we here to help, and let's grow our team members. So shout out to you for all of that, man. I think that's a lesson for all of us to learn today.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Appreciate that a lot. This has been really good. And I just wanted to add one last thing here. Something that's important to me, like I shared about, is educating wholesalers on like doing business well and doing it the right way. Ethically. So I'm taking on a couple more students for my mentorship program. So you can find some information about that at level10official.com, the numbers 10. And so I'm taking some applications to look at people for that. So if you're out there and you need a coach to go to the next level and you want to do business right, go check us out and send me a message.
Awesome. I'll be sure to link that up in the show notes. And everyone listening, as you can tell, Chris is honest and genuine and knows what he's talking about, and was invited to go speak at that panel of top wholesalers recently. And I love the way you're doing it as well. You're not just in it to make a buck. You're truly trying to help people and make sure that they're doing things the right way so that they can build a sustainable business, not just make a couple of, $1,000s here and there. Right. So Chris, thanks again for your time, man. I look forward to catching up here again soon at the next men's group and just keeping in touch.
Awesome, man. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you.